Let's bring in Oklahoma Senator James Lankford, who serves on the Intelligence and Homeland Security Committees. Senator, thank you for your time this morning. I'll ask you to weigh in on this security clearance debate that seems to be still bubbling up. What do you think?
Quite frankly, most Americans that I talk to and most Oklahomans certainly are a little confused why they still have their security clearance after they left the last administration. A security clearance is not just a forever institution. It has to be renewed frequently, and it's there for a purpose, so you have access to classified information when you need it. They don't need that classified information at this point. They're not in the administration any longer. They're not in an environment where they have a need to know on this. And so it is very different. And so for Brennan to be able to step out and to say the president's treasonous and to be able to attack him every day, the president's just simply responding with, this person's irrational. He doesn't need to be able to have security clearance anymore. It seems like a pretty straightforward response.
And now the president and his legal team saying sort of, bring it on, if you will. If you want to take legal action, go ahead and do it. The president wrote this in another tweet yesterday. I hope John Brennan, the worst CIA director in our country's history, brings a lawsuit. It will then be very easy to get all of his records, texts, emails, and documents to show not only the poor job he did, but how he was involved with the Mueller-rigged witch hunt. He won't sue. It's sort of a taunting, if you will, by the president. What do you think?
Right. It's the president's style, and it's not my style on it in any way. But the president's basically pushing back on Brennan, making all these statements and over again attacking the president. I think the president should rise above it and to be able to say that's previous administrations still with an axe to grind, that they're favorable to the previous administration. They handed materials to President Obama, and those proved to be right or not right. I think he can step out and be able to just stand above it and move on. The more he talks about it, the more he gives Brennan a microphone.
And, and obviously the big picture discussion here is the importance of those security clearances and who should have them. And the president also said this: everybody wants to keep their security clearance. It's worth great prestige and big dollars, he writes, even board seats. And that is why certain people are coming forward to protect Brennan. It certainly isn't because of the good job he did. He is a political hack. A last word on that. I want to move on to something else. Go ahead.
No, my last word on that is security clearance is not some asset that you can go monetize. You have a security clearance so that you can serve the American people. And if you plan to be able to go monetize that after the fact, that's a very different issue. And so the president has every right to be able to pull that away from somebody, and he's exercised that right. But again, end of the day, the president can rise above it, and he's the president of the United States.
And now this news, new evidence that there are foreign actors trying to infiltrate our election system, Senator Lankford. Microsoft is now saying that it's discovered and shut down a Russian operation aimed at hacking the Senate and target conservative think tanks. And that these attacks, they're reporting, were thwarted last week. Microsoft's president, Brad Smith, said this in a New York Times interview: we are now seeing another uptick in attacks. What is particular in this instance is the broadening of the type of websites that they're going for. The Russians are seeking to disrupt and divide. What do you know about this, Senator?
So the Russians are not just focused on elections. Obviously, a lot of our conversation in the past 2 years has been their focus around the 2016 elections. But the Russians were engaged in 2014 in trying to be able to find ways to divide. The Russians had more activity online trying to divide Americans after the elections of 2016 than they were leading up to even 2016. So they've not stopped. There's really two different issues here. One is trying to be able to get out and try to put out basically their version of propaganda to try to divide Americans every way they can on social media, news, try to find ways to infiltrate. Another one is to try to break in, hack, and steal. The second thing that Microsoft has focused in on is what they're doing to try to hack and steal information, whether that be from think tanks, which they did before the 2016 election, which they're trying to do again, whether it be try to break into the Senate and be able to steal things. People forget the Russians were able to break into the DNC with a phishing attack to be able to pretend basically it was a legitimate site. John Podesta actually typed in the password then and gave them the password by hitting a phishing scam on it. They're still trying to do the exact same thing to be able to hack into different systems now.
Big question is, what are we going to do about it? Senator James Lankford, thank you for your time this morning, sir. Nice to see you.
You bet. Thank you.